In this interview, I chat with Marti Matulis, who played Vane in Star Wars The Mandalorian and Skeleton Crew. We discuss everything, whether it's acting in the world of Star Wars, working with Jon Watts and Jude Law, getting punched by SM33, and starring in Red 1 opposite Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Stay tuned here on Flicks Unscripted.
Coffee up.
Coffeeed up. It's early there, isn't it? Like 9 o'clock.
9 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
You're late. You're a late riser, Red?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
absolutely,
You
absolutely.
must be like a movie watcher, video gamer that
Mm.
keeps you up late.
Not even that. Like, I like watching things late, but
Yeah.
like, I need my sleep. That's all, you know.
Fair. Fair, fair. The tricky part as you get older, you want to wake up early, but you also want to stay up late. And there's a conundrum in
Exactly.
there that's
Yeah,
difficult to solve.
yeah. Like, I
Like,
want to be. I'm very like. I want to be doing things all the time. I hate just sitting
yeah,
around. But
yeah.
like, it's hard when I need sleep. You know, it's
True,
difficult.
true, true.
Yeah,
That we can we can further discuss
we
our
could
sleep needs, our nutritional needs. Don't forget exercise. Exercise is key as
exercise.
well.
I know. How do you fit it
Yeah.
all in? I don't know.
There are only so many hours in the day, and there's so much content.
I know. Too
Content.
much. Too much
Do we use that word content? Are we on? We're just doing
content.
this. We're just talking now.
Let's
I
go.
don't. I don't like the word content.
No,
Content.
it's like,
It's like we're being
yeah,
shoveled garbage. Here's more content for you.
it is, isn't it? And like consuming content.
Art.
It's like,
Don't we need to
yeah,
just be a part of and a
yeah,
collaborative participant with art?
like Skeleton Crew. That's art.
I see what you did there. That was a
Yeah, that
deft
was.
transition.
I thought about
Huh?
that.
Was
Yeah,
it coming? You felt like I will slot it in here
yeah, the
now.
like transition
There we
that one.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we're
Anyway,
going to chit chat about that, aren't we?
talk about Skeleton Crew. Yes, you are an
Let's
actor
do
with
that.
like 20 years of makeup creature acting experience, and you starred as Vane in The Mandalorian season 3 and in Skeleton Crew, which is super exciting and what we're here to talk about today. And we've already spoken, haven't we, in Star Wars Celebration 2023 on the first day.
We did indeed. When I was just a lurker, I was just hanging
Yeah.
out, kind of like hiding out to see if Vane's face was going to make the teaser trailer, which it did. And I think
Yeah.
you reached out before or
Hmm.
on the cusp of celebration beginning, and we set up our interview right there on the floor, which was
Yeah, it
insane
was fun.
because
It
so
was.
many people.
Absolutely. And like I remember being in that like sort of theater with the trailer playing and like the energy was there. People were hyped for
Yeah,
Skeleton Crew. And I remember when
yeah,
Came up, there were like a few like you could kind of feel it. Like people were like,
yeah.
"Oh,
A
you
couple
know
of
what I mean?"
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was really really cool. And we've been waiting a while for it to come out because with the
Hmm.
strikes and everything it's been pushed back a few times, right?
Yeah. The strikes pushed it. Then they missed one holiday season, so they held
Yeah.
it until the next holiday season, which is now.
Yeah, but now 3 episodes are out, so at least we
Indeed.
can talk about like some of it. I don't know how much
Everything,
we go
everything.
into, but
Red. Let's just talk about the whole thing.
let's
So,
just talk about the whole thing. So tell
how
me
the
about the
series
finale.
ends is
Yeah, tell me
yes.
all
Well,
about it. Yeah, like who
I rule
dies.
everything and I kill
Yeah,
everyone, and I'm just left all by myself. It's the
really,
Vane show. It's really
the
just the
Vane
Vane
show.
show.
Yeah, I mean, now we know. No
Hey,
point watching it now.
could you expect anything less from
You
a
know.
self-serving pirate type?
I mean, that's what we saw in this Star Wars Celebration trailer, wasn't it? You
Hmm.
know. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Whoever didn't see that, they just kind of missed out. They would have known had they
they did.
known.
Yeah. Either way,
Well, we can definitely talk about at least the first three, and then we can
the first three.
speculate as to the rest.
Speculate. Okay. And see if we can like get a few things out of you.
Yeah, you could try.
Yeah, we can try. Okay,
See
see
what you
see how we
got.
go.
Do your
See where
best.
we
Do
go.
your best,
Okay.
Red.
Okay. Try. Anyway, in The Mandalorian season 3, you worked with Carl Weathers and you met Grogu, and we spoke about that last time. But this time round, you're working with a group of kids and people like Jaleel White as Gunter.
Mhm.
So, how did your experience of working on Skeleton Crew differ and compare to that of The Mandalorian?
Yeah, well, as you indicated, more people, so more. There was just more. There was
Yeah.
the set was big. They populated that the port with
Hmm,
I don't even know 40, 50 people at one point.
that's crazy.
Um, the kids were great.
Yeah.
Just in case anyone is ever like, kids. No, no, the kids were great. They were the most tip-top professionals on the set.
Hmm.
Um, but also kids. So there were
Yeah.
many days when the aliens were getting roasted as we walked out. They were not intimidated in the least
No.
by this gang of aliens.
Yeah.
They stayed at the top of the heap and they let us know it in
Yeah.
the best way.
Did the vibe
Uh,
change on the set when the kids were there?
no, because as you, if not have already discovered, you will discover people like us with the wrinkles and the gray stuff. That just happened to us. We're still kids. I
Right.
mean, we're not
Yeah.
sure what this is and why this is happening. We're still 5 years old. So everyone, and I think John Favreau is kind of leading the charge in that because he seems
Mm.
to be still very much a big kid because of his
Yeah.
love and enthusiasm for both technology, both for Star Wars. Um, he, I remember when Jude Law got to the set the first day, we were doing some other things, and John brought Jude out, and I would glance, of course, a little starstruck myself. I was kind of glancing over to see what they were up to, and I
Yeah.
just kept seeing John like pointing at things, going, "Ooh, look at that! Ooh, look at that!" And Jude was
Yeah.
in the same mode of like kind of wide-eyed wonder of
Mm.
this playground that they've created. So
Yeah.
everyone is. It seemed like everyone is very much on an equal footing on the shoot
Yeah.
days.
Oh, absolutely. And so, what we just found out now that Vane meets Jude Law as God. We got something out of you already.
Ah,
We
true.
know. Easy. Easy.
Yeah.
Either way, we've got a photo of you from episode 7, so we do know that
Do you?
Vane continues the season.
Oh, is it that kind of like always looking up off into
Yeah, like off to
something?
the side. Yeah.
Well,
What's
see,
he
you
looking
even
at?
know you even know more than I do. I didn't know that came from episode 7. It's
I saw it
been
like on Twitter or
it's been
something. There's
years, two
things
years.
hidden somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So
so
go ahead.
clearly he sticks around. We just don't know really
He
what he's up
does.
to. He might be just
No,
getting Jod's coffee.
he could be.
But what I
Could
want to
be.
know is how is Jod in the pirate world, but also in the kid world? Because that was never
Yeah.
made clear to us. We don't know what he's doing down there. I don't know what he's doing down there. It'll be interesting to see how they tie that together.
Yeah. So you only know so much, like even though you were in it.
Yeah, no, that's the joy of watching it now, not only because of the time that's passed, but because we don't have access to the larger story for
Yeah.
obvious reasons. Disney is very tight with security, and
Mm.
the internet is rabid for information, and they'll speculate until the cows come home, and right or wrong, good or bad, that's an inevitability. So
Yeah.
they do protect as much as they can. Though
Yeah, for sure.
I hate spoilers. I like to know things, but I hate spoilers. So
Mm.
that's also a difficult position to be in. Is
Oh yeah,
as an
definitely.
actor, if I'm just one of the pirate crew, I don't really need to know anything. But what am I doing right now? Go get those kids, steal their money. Like that's it. That's really the
Yeah.
essentials. But I'm also a photographer. I'm also an editor. I'm also a writer. So like I like to conceive the whole thing. So there's a
Yeah.
little bit of that frustration. Like, yeah, but if I just knew why we were doing this thing right now, I could
Yeah.
help. But
There you go.
we get what we get.
We get what we get, and it must be fun to watch it as a fan, like as well, just
Tremendously
experience
fun.
that in that way.
Tremendously fun. Yeah, I've longed for something with this feel for a long time.
Hmm.
The boys obviously knew exactly what they were doing in striking upon this specific tone of this project that feels so good. I mean, any of those side scrolling shots with that beautiful backlight and all the mist and it's just 1980s candy.
I know it's so Star Wars, but at the same time, it's like a side of Star Wars we haven't really seen yet. So it
Yeah,
feels really familiar and nostalgic, but also kind of like completely new, which makes it just so exciting.
it's interesting how much of I'll go so far as to say a furor on the internet when the suburbs showed up in the
Mm.
teaser trailer, and everyone's like,
Yeah,
"That's not Star Wars. That's not Star Wars."
yeah.
Yeah, but what is Star Wars really? It's
There
a
you go.
galaxy. Is it not a galaxy? I mean,
No,
we
yeah,
we have quite a bit of variety on this little ball of rock that we're on, let alone many other balls of rock. So I think if it has the spirit of what Lucas was intending initially, which is hopefulness and
mm,
adventure, character arcs,
yeah.
then that's Star Wars.
It's
It
Star
doesn't
Wars.
always have
Yeah.
to be X-wings and lightsabers, though. That
Mm.
they do factor into the lore already. So in that case, I feel like the connective tissue establishes this very, very well as
Yeah.
Star Wars.
exactly. Were there ever any like conversations on the set about the vibe? Like, were there ever any conversations about, this is 80s, this is fun, this is, or was it just kind of like, you kind of got that, or were you ever told it? Does that make sense?
It does. We never really chatted about it too much.
Mm.
We were just having a lot of fun
Yeah.
because look at how we look, Red. We look like pirates and aliens. So we
Yeah.
were all kind of like just staring at each other, and
Mm.
we don't have a lot of time to delve into it. But as the actor that I am, of course, I like to see who's involved with the project from the word go. Do a little bit of research. I had not seen the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, so I
Okay.
binged those, um, and I certainly got a sense of John Watts and Christopher
Yeah.
Ford's sensibilities. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, those guys, they know what they're doing. They're adept filmmakers. They understand
Mm.
the language of cinema, and they have an affinity for 80s shows, which is when I grew up. So I just kind of
Yeah.
sat back and like I have nothing to worry about. All I have to do is just tromp around and try to steal things from people, and all will be taken care of.
And what a great job you did.
Well, thank you very much. Vane's fun.
Yeah.
I'm eternally hopeful that he finds a way to weasel out of every situation and
Yeah.
continue on. He
Yeah.
needs to meet
Maybe
Hondo. He and Hondo need to
he
have a coffee.
does. He does. That would be fun. Who else would you
If
like to see him bump into along the way?
Well, my my standard answer also just to protect myself, because if I don't veer too far out of my lane, it should be okay. Hondo, of course, because he's such a great character and he's already in this pirate world. I think
Yeah.
that would be kind of a slam dunk were they to continue with this pirate component in either this or some other format.
Yeah.
Uh, in my speculative moments, I think Shin is out there somewhere just trying to find her place.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think if Vane's fate is to continue in the way that he's been established, he might find himself on the outs. They should probably start like some pop-up shop or an espresso bar, maybe a mobile espresso bar on the planet, and just
Okay.
start slinging coffee on the as a side gig.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Or make it
why
like a
not?
scam so he steals money at the same time.
Well,
Gets
yeah,
the good old credits.
he doesn't seem like he can do too much above board. It seems like there's
Okay.
always going to be an angle for him.
Yeah. It'd be cool like if
Honestly,
Jabba was
anything.
still alive. Imagine
Yeah.
like Jabba like employing Vane and I could see that working if
How,
only.
Jabba, I think he'd probably be the guy to demand and receive the loyalty that he would need in his organization,
Yeah.
because he couldn't have a lot of self-servers running the show with him. He's going to have to
Mhm.
like put his he doesn't have a thumb. Put his tail down. He does have a thumb. Put his big thumbs
The
down
big
on us
ones,
to
yeah.
keep us under control.
There you go. Let's hop back to Jude Law for a second.
Yeah,
What
of
was he
course.
like to work with?
Delightful, total
Yeah.
professional. Um, First day with him, well, I mean, is it a spoiler alert? Do we have any ideas of who the captain in the helmet was when we boarded the ship? It
Oh,
sounded a bit
yeah.
like him. I think it's pretty
Just
safe
a
to say.
bit. Yeah.
Although, I guess if we're watching episode three, has everyone seen episode three?
Yeah,
They,
they should
they
have.
essentially said that that was him, right? So that was our first day with him. Um, and as number one on the call sheet, you expect a certain persona, a certain oomph to come along with number
Yeah.
one on the call sheet. And I would say that I've seen a variety of that over the years. And Jude rolled in with absolute kindness and professionalism. Um, every time I saw him, he was just there to enjoy and and do good work with everyone.
Yeah.
He there was none of the like star power ego plays, no set drama.
Yeah.
He's absolutely one of us, and the only good tale I have to tell, which I'm probably going to retell over and over because it was such a beautiful moment. We were I'm not going to give anything away, am I? No. We were in a space in proximity, and I
Okay.
nothing was happening at the moment. So
Yeah.
I was kind of just watching things happening, and they were getting set up for the next shot, and I see Jude kind of wandering, and it didn't look like he was concentrating or going over lines. He was just looking at things, and he walked up to like a panel, a ship panel, and he was kind of doing
Okay.
what we had all been doing, poking at things, pushing buttons, flipping switches. And I, because I'm not number one on the call sheet, I was like, should I say anything? And I kind of looked around a little bit. And again, he wasn't busy, so I just kind of leaned in. I was like, hey, hey, Jude, you having a nerd moment? And It was like, oh boy, I said that to Jude Law. And he turned and he just had the biggest grin on his face. He was having a
Mm,
nerd moment and imagining how much fun his children would have seeing what he's
mm,
up to.
yeah,
Everyone was having a really great time, and he couldn't have been lovelier or
yeah,
more collaborative, really. Like
yeah,
he was open to suggestion, he offered suggestion, he was very much a part of kind of guiding this towards what it has become.
yeah. That's great,
I'd
and I'm
work with him again
surprised. I mean, if you had to,
if I had to, if he asked, and if I wasn't busy.
yeah, just if he texts you,
Yeah,
you'll think about it.
next time he texts, we could discuss.
Yeah, there we go. I'm surprised that was him under the helmet in the first episode, though, because they often have, like,
Hmm.
other actors, don't they? Like, with The Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal isn't always there. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
think
was a
that
nice
says a
touch.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah, that
for
that he
sure.
would want to, that they would do that, that they would see the importance of maintaining his physicality, his voice. I'm sure they did the ADR afterwards, or
Mm,
the enhancements afterwards, but he was there delivering the dialogue and very much in the scene.
yeah. Oh, that's great, definitely.
Yeah.
And that opening sequence is like one of my favourite parts of the show so far. The way it sort of pays homage to A New Hope, and there's kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
a prequel sort of feel to it as well, in a way. Like with like the exterior of the ship and the
Yeah.
things going on there, and when the things are being stuck to the other things,
Stuff is happening and
stuff's
things
happening,
are exploding. Yeah, it
things
was fun.
exploding. Yeah, and the
It was fun.
stakes are set like so high already.
Right.
Even though
Yeah.
like some people call it a kids show, it's still like it feels
Oh, a kids
intense.
show? There was I don't remember the alien's name who gets his eye blown off and he ends up taking the guy down. I think there was a machete death in the
Yeah,
scene.
they
The
didn't call
the
it a kids show.
frog guy came in and just whacked somebody with his machete. Yeah, it's a serious kids show. Although
Yeah,
I think kids can handle that, and it's nice that they're
yeah,
not. It's nice. I think there's probably nothing worse in cinema in art when the artist is an adult and they think they know what kids like and they talk down to a kid.
mm,
I remember being a kid. I wanted to see all the things. I wanted to see Conan the Barbarian when I was far too young to see Conan the Barbarian. Um, and then sometimes things are a little bit shocking, but then you get to process that. So
yeah.
it good art doesn't need to shy away from serious
No,
subject matter for a
yeah,
younger age person.
no,
Like what was one of
definitely.
your, I'm going to jump in and ask you a question. What was one of your
Yeah,
earliest, would we say like adult films that you saw that you
yeah.
maybe loved or maybe were a little put off
The
at that you
thing
had
about
to think about?
oh, huh. Um, it depends. You've got things like Joker, which were like I saw
Hmm.
when I like sort of when it came out. Probably shouldn't have, but it's okay. Between me and you.
Yeah.
That was kind of like I felt like I could handle it, but it was kind of like whoa. And
Yeah.
then when I eventually saw Pulp Fiction, but it's other side, Pulp Fiction, that was
I
kind
was
of
going to
like
ask,
yeah,
how
but I
old
love
do
it.
you
It's
think
one
you
of my
were when you
favorite
saw that?
films. Oh, only like what, like 16, 15. So
Uh-huh.
not too young, but it was still like
In probably a good zone for that because I mean, I
yeah,
consider it, I absolutely consider that a comedy, but
yeah,
it's got some
absolutely,
pretty serious business going on there in
yeah,
the comedic elements.
yeah, for sure. But it's like I think it's pushing the boundaries, and I think that's
Yeah.
definitely like an important part of sort of exploring
Yeah.
cinema. Yeah,
Growth and inspiration.
yeah,
If you're of a mind to want to be involved in filmmaking in some way, like
yeah,
you certainly need to expose yourself to a variety of types and
mm,
genres and styles.
for sure. Did you
Yeah.
approach the role of Vane differently for Skeleton Crew compared to The Mandalorian?
Only in the sense that I could breathe through my nose this time around.
That's always a help.
Yeah, I feel like maybe it made him a bit more chipper, a little
Yeah.
more smiley. Does he seem a little more smiley this time around? I don't know.
Yeah, a little bit, but he seemed kind of darker at the same time when he's put his hands on the kid's shoulders. That was like, I
Yeah,
wouldn't want to be one of those kids.
no, that was fun. The
Yeah,
the approach was about the same. I think the process of getting into the makeup and then seeing it happen over the course of a couple of hours as it's being
yeah,
applied, and then putting on the wardrobe again. My prep was basically just getting into everything and then walking. I just started
yeah,
walking because that with this character more specifically than any other thing I've played, the costume itself lent a lot to what the character became, just kind of how he
Yeah.
moved. And I was like, oh, well, if he moves like that, maybe he's this kind of a personality. And,
Yeah.
he,
It builds the character, doesn't it? Yeah.
it does. And between you and me, the foundational element for the character of Vane is that he's a child himself.
Yeah.
He's emotionally insecure. He's not insecure, but emotionally undeveloped. He's
Mm.
like he's at a level where he's reactive. That's a better way to say it.
Yeah.
He's emotionally reactive, right?
Hmm.
He doesn't know how to process his feelings very well. Uh, so if things don't go his way, he might get angry and try to shoot a
Yeah.
droid, like being fed up with all the kid talk and like finally just like rah, trying to
Yeah.
shoot SM. That's very much in line with his character.
Mm.
But with those two kids in that scene, was it that one? No, it was actually after we chased them out and Fern shoots the thing that we
Yeah.
were talking about. Prior to SM kicking off the fight, when I take the gun away from Fern, um, as you do when you're an actor, you try a bunch of different things, and then they pick whatever they want. So as long as I'm within my established range of Vane reactions, I'll try a
Yeah.
bunch of different reactions. And the one that I was hoping that they would use, but I can see why they didn't, and they use what they use, and it turns out great. I absolutely grabbed the gun. And I gave her like a face, just kind of look what I
That's
did.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been fun. It would have taken him a little more down the comedic realm and maybe a little less
Yeah.
threatening, though.
Yeah. Depends what sort of
But
which way they want to go with it, tone
100%,
wise.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's my the highest aspiration I have as an actor is to give them a variety, a
Mm.
little bit of a range of options.
Yeah.
Because once they get into, I don't know if you've ever done any editing, but post production, they're creating it again. So they write it the first time,
Yeah.
they shoot it. That's the second time of creation, and then the editing is the third time of creation, where they
Yeah.
can really change things,
Mm.
completely change the tone, and they're going to build everybody's performance.
Mm.
So I can like prepare something and do it that way. That gives them no flexibility in
Yeah.
editing. That might be an impediment to a
Mm.
storytelling flow, right? So I do my best to give them some
Yeah.
options in the editing room.
There you go. I mean, did your sort of experience as an editor, is that how you learned that?
At this
Like being
point,
the
Red,
side of the table.
it helps. I don't know what
Mm.
all informs what now
Yeah.
because
You're there.
I know that I bring a lot of my editing sensibilities to the acting
Yeah.
when I'm thinking about the technical aspects or providing options or being consistent with a physical motion. If I find myself
Mm.
like doing this, I try to log when I did that in the dialogue so I can
Yeah.
do that again. If they come over my shoulder, I need to make sure I repeat that
Right.
so they
Yeah.
can have an easier time choosing where they're going to
Mm.
cut the piece. Because as I'm sure you've seen, and it's not always super important that continuity is 100%, but it can really call attention to itself if
Yeah.
if the editors get painted into a corner by something and they have to make an edit point and it's not smooth. Sometimes it can kind of take
Mm.
you out of the moment.
No, that
um,
makes sense. Yeah.
so all of those things kind of come together, as well as if you are that we're working on like acting tips now, to be a
We are.
well-rounded actor, learn
Yeah.
all of cinema, learn
Mm.
learn what it means when your DP is on an 85 millimeter lens as opposed to a 15 millimeter lens. Like
Wow.
that indicates what I need to be
Yeah.
doing. If he's over there and he's on a long lens, I need to like tone it down a little bit. Don't be
Mm.
so. "Ah." But if we're on a big old wide shot, then obviously you want to have bigger
Yeah.
movements. So yeah,
Yeah, that's really
learn.
interesting.
You have to learn it all, Red. Learn it
Mm.
all.
Then it all. Then it all.
Yeah.
Let's hop back to The Mandalorian for a
Mhm.
second. What was that whole sort of audition process like, and when did you find out that it was for Star Wars?
The, the audition came through. Excuse me. Came through my agent. It's in code. I don't know that it's
Okay.
Star Wars when it comes through. There's like a casting code attached to
Yeah.
it, and then the dialogue is changed enough. But it was the shootout scene from episode one, season three,
Right.
just a little modified. However, because I'm also trying to keep track of things and know what's being shot, I was like, well, what else is actually out there right now that's like Western shootout. I was a little suspicious of that, so I
Yeah,
poked around a little bit with my agent. She said that it was of a similar code to these other projects, and so I responded by when he draws at the end,
yeah.
that's when I cut it to black, and I have a sound effects library for editing. So I pulled some Lucasfilm
I
laser
see.
blast sounds
Yeah,
and added those in at the end. So
like hint, hint. I
pew
know.
pew pew, a little bit of
Yeah,
pew pew, and it goes a
a
long
little bit
way.
pew pew.
So we're hoping that
There you
that,
go.
that contributed.
Yeah.
So that was it. Then after that, I think they saw that I had, at the very minimum, the ability to puppet a character inside the makeup. There was not a follow-up audition. At some point, maybe a week or two later, I found out that I got the role. It couldn't
Well,
have been 2 weeks later, maybe a week later.
yeah.
And then the process began. Started meeting the makeup artists and making trips to the studio to start testing costumes and putting it all
Yeah.
together over time until we did the big
Wow.
makeup test in front of
And then
everyone. The
you're
makeup
there.
test was in front of everyone. Doug Chang
Okay.
was right here looking
Ooh.
at all the details. There were a lot of phones, FaceTiming
Mm.
to see what he could do. And then because he could do things because he was an appliance and not a mask, they decided to keep him around and not kill him.
There you go. And I mean, thank goodness they did. And
I'm mighty thankful, Red. It's
I
lovely
mean,
to
yeah,
revisit this character.
I bet it must be really fun just to kind of have that experience. Like, first of all, you're in Star Wars. That's great. But then you get to do it again for
Uh-huh.
longer, for more. That's like
Uh-huh.
doubling down on it.
Yeah,
It's pretty
I
fun.
I have to pinch myself a little bit,
Yeah,
as the kid in me that's very excited to be involved in this, to get to continue on and do more of it, because I
yeah.
think I think we might have spoken of it, but he was only a 1 day job
Mm.
initially. He was going to be killed with the other members of the gang, and then another one was going to be sent away. Um, so cut to some years later now, at the premiere in Disneyland, I said hi to Jon Favreau, and I said, "So John, what do you think? Got any ideas for Vane?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, we'll see what happens." And I was being cagey with him because there's a bunch of stuff that happens that I'm not aware of, because of course it
Mm.
goes to ILM, and so I was kind of
Yeah,
poking for a little more information, but he knows not to divulge too much.
yeah.
But I know they like the character, so it's just a matter of whether or not there's a
There
a
we go.
reason to bring it back for something
Yeah,
else.
Mandalorian movie, maybe. We'll
Fingers
see.
crossed. Anything. Ahsoka season
Any
two, come say hi to you guys again.
go
I think
for
they're
it.
shooting in the UK. I'm not sure
Have
where,
they?
but I think so.
Fun.
That's my impression. I think they heard that they were setting up to do
Yeah.
season two of there, but
But we'll have to go and like set up somewhere and like get binoculars and kind of find out what we can see.
and
Report
put up a big
back.
sign, come over for an interview.
Yeah. We will. Or we'll just kind of like rock up one day and be like, camera, microphone, let's do this.
Don't you know who I am? I've interviewed
Yeah.
Vane.
Yeah. There we go.
Do it. Let's get you
Do it.
going. Let's get you
Let's
going.
do it. Let's do it.
If I have any pull at all, Red.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll just like name drop you and they'll open the
perfect.
gates.
Yeah. I'm not sure which gates, but we'll find out. If you ever need to be let out of jail, also give me a call.
There we go. Let's do some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So, what do you believe is Vane's backstory before the events of The Mandalorian?
Ooh. I think he probably came from the fashion world and then decided that
Okay.
piracy might have been a little more he's not much of a 9 to 5er, I think, is probably
Mm,
where he fell off. So he realized that a quick buck and scheming was a little more in his milieu, but
yeah,
clearly he likes to. I mean, that collar's popped.
yeah, it is. It is. And those boots are quite
Yeah,
big. So,
fashionista. Vane is a fashionista.
fashionista. There we go.
Yeah.
And in an alternate universe, what could have been, Vane's big plans?
Hmm. Well, let's try something other than the fashion industry. I think
Yeah.
he probably went into elementary education initially when he was in school,
Okay.
but he found out that he just didn't. Again, he just didn't. He's a bit ADHD. I think he didn't have the stick to itiveness, and then
Mm.
all of the kids talking all of the time just kind of like
Uh,
made him nuts, and
yeah.
he had to go. He had to go elsewhere, which is why
Okay.
if you think along this philosophical route. This is not your quick answer, but I'm caffeinated, so we're going to go with it.
Yeah,
That's probably why he keeps getting thwarted by kids.
Hmm.
He has something karmic yet to process.
Right. Interesting. We should
You didn't
see.
know we were going to get into philosophy with your rapid fire, did you?
No, I didn't expect that. Wow. Yeah. For like, isn't it 9 a.m. with you? For first thing in the morning, this is like pretty deep. We need to see like
Caffeine is a wonder.
you know the Marvel What If series, like alternate universe. We need
Oh
that,
yeah,
but for
yeah,
Star
yeah.
Wars. But then like an
That would be
episode
lovely.
just with Vane. Yeah.
I hope. Obviously, it depends on how well he's received and whatever happens at the end of the series. But I
Yeah.
hope that they explore him, maybe backstory, maybe future story in a comic realm. I think that would
Yeah.
be fun to see.
That'd be fun
It'd be fun to see what a comic book artist would do with
with
all of
him.
him. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really kind of really cool design, isn't it? So that'd be
yeah,
fun to play
yeah, yeah.
with. What do you
Some
think of
extreme poses.
Vane's?
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah. What do you think of Vane's favorite hobbies?
Not much of a model builder. I think he'd probably
No.
get only so far before he would just smash them.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, hobbies. He's probably not much of a football player. He's not a team
Golf?
sport kind of guy.
No.
Oh, golf. Could you imagine his club? Every club would be bent 1,000 directions into his bag.
There we go.
What would Vane do as a hobby?
Hmm.
I could see him. Well, he's clearly an astute spaceship driver.
Okay.
I think that's probably his thing because he
Yeah.
out. I mean, dare I say he outdid the man? He outflew the Mandalorian. He didn't
He
die. He
did.
led him where he
Yeah.
wanted to go. Yeah, I think if he had an off day, he'd probably try to find like some sort of a rally school and
Hmm.
go tear around a dirt road in the forest.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
driver.
He's
Vane's
a
a
driver.
driver. That's the one thing he does well. He's a driver.
Yeah, definitely. I think he needs time to relax as well. Like go to the beach and get a tan. You know what I mean? That's what
Meditate a
Vane.
bit.
Yeah, absolutely. If he was on
A little
vacation, where would
self-care.
he go? Self care.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, vacation. Well, I mean, Tahiti, but again, like anytime any of these speculative things, I think he only gets so far before he just can't handle it anymore and he pops. I think
Yeah.
he would sit on the beach, but then the sand would probably bother him. He would go for a massage, but he probably has very ticklish feet. He might try meditating, but he'd only last about 30 seconds and he'd glitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to
He's
see
one who
him.
pops. I think he
One who
pops easily.
pops. Yeah. And then from Vane to Marty, what's
Yeah.
your favorite Star Wars film, character apart from Vane, and favorite scene? Film, character, and scene.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, film,
Okay.
Empire. Empire
Yeah.
Strikes Back.
Good choice. Good choice.
I would say Rogue One is up there. Rogue One is
Yeah.
so good. The storytelling's so
Hmm.
good, but because of the time Empire came out, the time in my life, my
Yeah.
age, and just how good of a film it is.
Yeah.
Favorite character in that movie, it was Boba Fett, 100%.
Mm.
He was
Yeah. Fair.
mysterious. He caused a lot of trouble. We didn't know much about him.
He was cool, wasn't
He
he?
was super
You know?
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially on Bespin when he kind of walks out behind Vader, like you
Yeah.
hear he has spurs. Why does he have spurs? Because he's
Mm.
cool. But scene in that movie,
Yeah.
it's when the shield doors must be closed, and Luke is out in it, and Han has gone to go try to find
Mm.
him, and they're closing the shield doors,
Yeah.
and the impact of that could have been this big of a moment, like we'll try to find him later. But
Yeah.
they spent enough time with each character that you feel the weight of that as the doors are closing. And then the
Yeah.
final thing, like Chewie, breaks my heart, Red.
Mm.
Chewie's like throws his head back. Whoa.
Chewie's got us crying.
Oh my God, it was such a good scene.
It
That's the
was.
one.
It was.
That's the one.
It was. Yeah. I get what you mean. Like a small thing being so big of an impact.
What's your favorite film or character or scene? Wait, first, how old are you?
I'm 17.
Got it.
Okay.
Context established.
Context established, but I'm not crazy on the Star Wars sequels. So
Totally fine. Totally fine.
yeah, yeah. Everyone says they grew up with like the originals, and I'm like, in here, I did too. You know.
They set the
Um,
tone. It's hard to not
they
find
do.
them
Yeah,
delightfully foundational.
yeah. Film. Ooh, either New Hope or Return of the Jedi.
Mm.
Yeah, I like Return of the Jedi a lot.
Yeah.
Then character would be... I quite like Admiral Akbar. I don't know why, it's just something about him. I like it. And Jabba.
He's
Jabba's like top tier. And Jar Jar Binks. I've got, where is it? Yeah. Got gold Jar Jar Binks. There we go.
nice.
Big
Okay, good.
Jar
So
Jar Binks stan.
Akbar first, Jabba.
Second, then
Okay.
Jar Jar Binks.
All right,
Yeah,
let's go with
that's
Akbar.
me.
Let's go with
Let's go
Akbar
with
for a
Akbar.
second. So
Yeah.
I can see I think where you're going here. He's solid. He's a solid dude.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's
it's just... I
dare
don't
we
know
say
what it is.
stalwart? He's stalwart.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. He's quite heroic, quite brave, but it's kind of like, more than anything, it's just a fun character, like
Totally.
interesting
Yeah.
design, voice. I don't know.
Exactly.
I just like Admiral
How does he
Akbar.
stay
And then
hydrated? How does he stay hydrated?
that's a
He
good
must have
point.
very resilient moisturizer in space.
Mm, for sure. Yeah, we need some of that.
Lather up before the battle.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
what he's doing. Yeah,
he is heroic. He makes the right
yeah,
choices for the right
yeah,
reasons at the right time.
for sure. And then Jabba is just like, I've just always liked Jabba. I don't know why. I find him amusing.
Do you have aquariums or terrariums in your home?
I don't.
Because your favorite characters do have a touch of a theme of the reptilian or
They do. I never noticed that. I never
aquatic
pieced that together.
in nature. I mean,
They
Jar
do.
Jar's an adept swimmer as well.
Yeah.
He's from
I
a
want to see
watery
Jabba
place.
swimming. That's what we need to see.
What would he? Would he just?
The tail would be going.
I
Or
think
he'd just sink. He might just sink.
his years of lethargy
Hmm.
uh, might impede his progress a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. And then yeah, scene. I do like Duel of the Fates a lot. I
Yeah,
like Emperor's Throne Room, where it's just the pinnacle, like
that's
the
so good.
yeah. I think those two are probably like I like the high stakes. I like what it's all
Mm,
been building towards, and then
yeah,
boom. That wasn't rapid
100%.
fire, was it?
No, that's okay. We're off into
But
where we
we've gone
are.
off on a
So
tangent. Yeah,
we're
we're here
playing
now.
jazz, right? So
We're playing
also,
jazz.
I'm going to put my also just about favorite scene also from
Okay.
Empire because of what you just said. And it's absolutely when Luke has gone off and he thinks he's all that and he shows up
Hmm.
and he's brought into the chamber and it's quiet and then you hear the intake of the voice and
Yeah.
Vader's way over here. He's not like he didn't immediately attack him. He's right up in his face
No.
like a
Yeah.
Marvel battle scene. I like Marvel movies, nothing against Marvel. But all he does is say, "You're not a Jedi yet." Like
Hmm.
you start a
It's the
battle but with
subtlety
a little
almost.
psychological warfare of like, "Nice
Hmm.
try, kid. Now I'm going to show you what's really going on."
Yeah.
Yeah, so good,
That's good.
so
I
good.
need to rewatch Empire. Like, yeah. Now with
Well,
this new perspective.
do, and
Yeah.
also, are you? I don't know if you're a photographer or if you enjoy what happens in these boxes,
Oh
but
yeah, totally.
if you've seen it and you don't, well, watch it twice. I would say watch it all the way
Yeah.
through and just re-enjoy, but
Yeah.
also pause on frames. The
Hmm.
Irvin Kershner, I'm not sure who was running the camera, but whomever all developed the frames in that movie, there's some
They're
beautiful
gorgeous.
frames.
They are.
Beautiful.
Same with Rogue One. Like
Yes.
like every scene is like a photograph. Like
Oh, and
yeah.
anything he does from Dune to the Batman, Greg
Yeah.
Fraser. It was Greg Fraser in Rogue One, was it not?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not speaking
It
out of
was.
turn.
No.
I
Yes.
love that guy's work. Love it.
Yeah. It's
People ask like,
gorgeous.
what director would you want to work with? Well, I would want to work with DPs. I'm
Yeah.
most excited about DPs.
Oh yeah, totally. He can use color and sort of composition in such a way that makes it iconic.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's top tier, top tier.
There was a moment, I don't know how much time we have for our second round here, but there's a moment in the first episode, in that first scene in Skeleton Crew, bringing it back to the
Yeah,
crew,
the crew.
that had a bit of visual storytelling that was super clean and quick and gave you everything you wanted to know. And it was when they go outside and you see the gun turret. So
Yeah.
you establish the threat to the pirates, who are the threat initially.
Okay.
Gun turret response, shoots pirate tube, pirate tube explodes. In the same shot is the response to that, which is the cables coming out and the guys coming back over, which whips you back over to threat, where they put the bomb onto the gun and then turret gun explodes.
Well,
that's such a fast sequence, but you get
it
like
is. You get so much
response to
information
threat.
from that.
Oh, I love stuff like
Yeah.
that. I love
Same
I love
with the editing
autonomy.
in Skeleton Crew. Yeah, like
Some
it's sort of
tight
used for
editing.
humor, isn't it? It's yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
there are a
good.
few very humorous edit points, like
Yeah,
throwing the thing over in the backpack, landing the other shot.
yeah,
Um, some really good stuff. And there, in fact, when the kids are about to be thrown into the brig, and uh, you get Wim saying, "Brig? What's a brig?" Immediately slams
boom.
to a brig. Like the response is right there.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it's
delightful editing.
clever.
Yeah.
It is. How have like your friends and family reacted to being in Star Wars? Because that's to be in Star Wars, that's quite a cool thing.
there's there's the kid in me who's like, look what I got to do. Look what I got to do. Not like, look who I am. I'm
Yeah,
amazing. Like, look
yeah,
at that.
it's Star
I'm
Wars.
so excited about it.
Mm.
A very few people, Red, a very few have been indicating excitement kind of along the level of my own.
Hmm.
I haven't heard from, and I don't want to start reaching out like, did you watch? Did you watch? Because then it's veering into that weird territory
It's
of like,
awkward. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I just hope that they'll be excited and want to reach out so then we can talk about it. But
yeah,
not a surprising few. Less than I'd
really.
thought. Less than I thought,
Yeah,
especially amongst my friends my age who also grew up with it.
yeah.
Maybe they're just biding
Interesting.
their time, or maybe
Maybe.
it's just a different thing now that it's a streaming service on a TV and
Yeah,
not like an event. You
yeah.
know,
That makes
because
sense.
all that I can't overstate that, Red. Like the experience of waiting
Mm.
when there wasn't so much stuff out there, art, content, whatever you want to call it.
Mm.
You had to wait until the movie came to your theater. That could be
Yeah,
years. What carries you over? You play Star Wars. Like after
yeah.
Star Wars A New Hope came out, it was 77-ish, I think it was. And then Empire was what, like 79, 80, something like that.
Something
There
like
were
that.
there were a couple few years between.
Yeah,
So all we did was just get together with friends on the weekend and play Star
yeah,
Wars. We'd have to invent our own stories and speculate. And then there was like a newsletter, a scant few page newsletter called Bantha Tracks that you could subscribe to that would come out. And that was like our behind the scenes. You'd learn a
yeah.
little bit about ILM or how they did the walkers. And
That's
but
cool.
we had to wait. So
Completely different
there
to
was a
now.
lot more of a sense of importance on it
Mm.
because you had built up so much in your mind in that intervening time. Whereas now it's like, oh, what am I going to watch today and now and this hour? And then there's this one. And then there's
Yeah,
so much stuff out there
so
that
much. It's kind of almost overwhelming. Like I've had
it
so
can
many
be.
things I want to watch, but I just
Yeah.
like, how do you fit everything in?
Yeah. And how do you afford it
Yeah.
all? So many
Well,
streaming
that too.
services. Yeah.
Yeah. And how does like a Star Wars shoot compare to other projects, to the, average, I guess? Like how's that differ?
Like the practical aspects on the ground during a shoot.
Yeah.
I think it mostly in what I would perceive from the outside as kind of the attitudes of everyone involved.
Mm.
Um, on some projects, for whatever reasons that I'm not privy to, attitudes might be different.
Mm.
There might be a sense of like a hurry that's happening, a rush to get through things,
Yeah.
a less collaborative nature. I saw none of that on either The Mandalorian or certainly not Skeleton Crew. I think
Mm.
the tone has been set early on by John and then by John Watts and Chris Ford and the people that they brought in to direct, um, and all of the department heads. I was witness to nothing but kind of a joyful, collaborative feeling amongst everyone.
Yeah.
I think everyone's very, very happy to be involved in this. They're appreciative,
Why
and I
wouldn't
think
you be?
that energy kind of infused the set. So
Yeah.
nothing but fun from what I was witness to.
Yeah, of course. And the budget is quite high as well. And you've got like the volume which you were using.
Yeah.
And I imagine there were some practical sets too. Like the scenes as well, like the
Mhm.
opening with the pirates, where you've got like flashing lights and smoke, and it's quite like there's a
Yeah, that
lot
was
going on.
exciting.
Watching the show is that final product pretty similar to how it was for you on set as an actor? Like was a lot of that actually
Seems it.
there?
Seems
Yeah.
it. Yeah. the level of detail on the sets is astounding. Once you're in the volume, it's very easy to just imagine that you're there. I think the only time that would ever take you out of it is if you're looking beyond that to camera crew and the
Yeah.
setup and whatnot. Um, but the sets themselves were fun. I love being on the volume. Like I can
Yeah.
see, it excels at what it's really good at.
Hmm.
You wouldn't want to rely on it 100%, or the magic is shown, and you get to see what's happening. But
Yeah.
they used it really well in this. When they dress the floor of the volume to match what's on the volume,
To make sure. Yeah.
it's kind of hard to beat, especially at the pace of television production. Like
Yeah.
it must save them incredible amounts of time with this technology now. Uh,
Totally.
Tons of fun to see it.
Yeah, and all the references in the show is really fun as well, like Captain
Yeah,
EO and the holiday
right.
special. That one cracked me up. That was really fun to see. Yeah,
That's great that you
it's
were
really
aware
exciting.
that you knew about that.
Oh yeah,
That's pretty
last year for
deep
the
dive
first
for some
time
people.
watched the holiday special for the
Did
first
you?
time, and that was a hoot. That was
Yeah,
something.
it
You've
was
seen it?
it was very very much of its time.
Yeah, it was. Let's not even go into that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, save that for
Wow.
another time.
Save that for another. We'll do like a holiday special episode.
I think you
But we'll
should. If
just
you do let me know. I would
we'll
join
do.
that in a heartbeat.
Will do. And like the mystery's fun too with
Yeah.
Etten. Like it's almost like the Truman Show, isn't it? Like it's almost
Yeah,
too perfect
darker
and
than dark in a way.
yeah.
So that's one of the things that was revealed now to me as a watcher that I had no
Right.
idea about.
So you
Like,
didn't know about that?
no, there's that mention of it by the kids, and we kind of chuckle it off, but I
Yeah.
didn't know what it was. I had no idea. Like, we were not told
Mm.
what the implications were, or the mysteries of it.
Yeah.
So now it's fun to see it's fun to see that they've put that as a darker layer on what was
Yeah.
ostensibly a kid's show and a kid's story.
Mm.
You get that joy and you can follow along with the kids and kind of share their experience. But there's also this other thing of like, you get to think like, well, the kids are okay with it, but would I be okay with being surveilled by these one-eyed, clearly
Yeah.
CCTV headed robot droids that are
Mm.
security droid? They're going to go dark at some point. They
Yeah.
must.
Yeah.
Something must happen to one of those droids to show
Looking
us
forward
like,
to it.
yeah. That was tons of fun.
Mm. Some of the sets, like especially Port Borgo, were like so huge and crowded.
Yeah.
And I imagine there's some like practical effects, some CGI with the aliens. How does a director navigate such a challenge like that? And is it like overwhelming nearly for you as an actor to have so much going on in like one shot?
As an actor, it's delightful because the
Yeah.
less you have to rely on your imagination, the more you can apply your imagination or intellect to what's actually happening in the scene. And everything there on set supports that. Um,
Yeah.
they were elaborate, detailed. They turned these artists loose. I mean, you could walk up to anything on that stage and get within an inch of it, and the quality of detail is
Mm.
just impeccable. No facade or false backs. They have to build it to be filmed from any angle,
Yeah.
which was also one of the interesting things of the speed at which production can go in the volume now. There are
Yeah.
no massive lights that they have to set up and then take down and then move. So you're familiar with the term turning it around, turning a set
Yeah.
around. You turn around to go to this side of something. Well, you don't have to move all the equipment. You literally just change
Just
the light on the volume.
mm.
So there was a scene when I think it was when Brutus was talking to the kids and then moving away from the kids. There was a fire in a big sconce on the floor on a pole. So practical element, they'd pull up the fire. But obviously, when they're shooting the other direction, there's no need to have all the crew right next to an actual fire.
Yeah.
So they call up a fire element and put it up on the wall and size it and brighten it so it's still casting the same light as a practical fire. You just
Wow.
take the fire away. Amazing stuff. So much
Yeah.
fun.
Wow.
I've
That's
just given away the secrets of volume
yeah.
fire. I hope I don't
That's crazy.
get in trouble for
This
that.
makes it so much easier as well.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
yeah.
And then as a director, as you said, I think it's just the amount of pre-production they do to plan this out. It
Mm.
must be incredible. I would love to be a fly on the wall for that kind of
Yeah.
thing too, because yeah, they plan it out to the nth degree, but they leave themselves flexibility on the day to improve or modify as long as it's within that larger framework that they've established.
Yeah. You said that Jon Favreau told you that Vane wasn't going to be killed off, but how much time passed between shooting Mandalorian and shooting Skeleton Crew?
Great question. I don't have the amount of time in my mind because of so much else that was going on and
Yeah.
coming out of COVID. Even at that point, I think I don't recall. I could probably put it together and get you numbers on that, but
Yeah.
it was long enough that I
Hmm.
wondered if they were going to find another place. When John told me that they weren't going to kill Vane off, then there was a little bit of back and forth fairly quickly after that as to if or how that
Yeah.
could work. And there would be like a week in between those emails, and then at one point there was this kind of like a final email saying, "Well, sorry, we can't find a way to fit you back in because the season is so well structured. Now
Hmm.
they couldn't really introduce a new character into this scene into the season." And then there was another break of time, maybe a week or 2 weeks, maybe about 2 weeks, when this other email came in and they said, "Hey, we have this new project." And at that point, I was like, "Oh wow, they're going to
Yeah.
actually
Here we
put me
go.
in a different project," and that was phenomenal. So
Yeah.
that's when the development started fairly quickly after that as to Skeleton Crew. Grammar
Yeah.
rodeo, as we were terming it in the secret code world.
Oh, I see. So kept very hush hush.
They were, yeah,
Hmm.
they used a lot of Simpson references as their secret code for the
Okay.
production and for some of the actors and characters.
Yeah, that's fun. And
Mm-hmm.
at Star Wars Celebration, we watched the trailer, and like it had a really positive reaction. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously, with the Star Wars fan base, you don't know how people are going to take things, and people may have certain expectations before watching the show. So, like, how was that for you? And it must have been cool to see, like, as it premiered, that hype that was building from it.
Tons of fun because of the involvement and because of my own excitement for all
Yeah.
things Star Wars. I was paying more attention to the build up and the internet rumblings around this show than I was to some of the previous ones.
Mm.
Um, so when that teaser trailer came out at Celebration, I was waiting to see if that was going to be released. Obviously, there were a few cell phone pirated versions that showed up here and there.
Yeah.
But then once they finally came out with the proper teaser trailer and then started the marketing push, it was both fascinating. We'll call it that. It was fascinating to see kind of what the internet will grab onto and what it
Yeah.
will run with. And I think the biggest initial one was suburbs.
Suburbs. Yeah.
Suburbs? Suburbs? I don't want suburb. This is
Yeah.
there was like
But
a,
now
a
that
little
it's out,
fire that started.
now that it's out, people are
It's
loving it.
Yeah, it's so smart. It's so
Mm.
smart because it kind of lulls you into this false sense of security of like
Yeah.
a comfortable environment. It's a happy place. Like no worry, no cares, but there's something
Yeah.
going on. So it's a great foundation for the mystery that they're building.
Yeah.
So I love
Totally.
that. Love that.
And Skeleton Crew features the work of like some really creative directors. I mean, John
Hmm.
Watts, David Lowery, Bryce Dallas Howard, the Daniels.
Yeah.
What were they all like to work with? And like how did like was there like a sort of difference on the sets?
They each have their own distinct style, reflective of their own distinct personality.
Yeah.
Um, I found I found John Watts for the pilot episode to be I can I work with him again, Red? Can we make that happen? I would love to work with him again.
Yeah.
He super intelligent,
Mm.
as you see in interviews and as you see in his products, very astute, very intelligent, also a great sense of humor. And those two things at play, delightful to work with.
Yeah.
Obviously there were larger things at work than directing Vane in a big scene, but there was one time he came up, he was kind of adjusting things in that the vault when the vault is being opened
Mm.
up,
Yeah.
and he came out, he's offering Jude, they're having a confab about what's going on in the scene, and then I'm kind of over Jude's shoulder, and I don't know
Yeah.
if they used this shot or if this was one of the ones that didn't make the cut, but he kind of came up to me, he's like, yeah, just look back and forth at them a little more, and that's it. He just kind of walked away.
Hmm.
So for me, the actor, like that was beautiful because that
Yeah.
tells me like he sees everything that's going on. I remember that I was doing something. I was trying something within that scene very specifically that he saw, even though he's paying attention to the entire thing.
Yeah.
So his expansive vision, his intelligence, and his humor were tons of fun to witness. And I think he only did the pilot, or he did the pilot and maybe eight. I can't remember which now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Um,
so. I think that's what I saw.
and then
Yeah.
David as well. Very smart, astute, very fun to work with. Um, Bryce was delightful to work with. Delightful.
Yeah.
Um, Same. Everyone's very collaborative and
Yeah.
intelligent and kind. Her episode, the scenes that we were involved with were pretty, I would say, complex. A lot of moving parts, a lot of moving
Exciting.
pirates, a lot of moving
Pirates.
pirates,
See what you
and
did there?
because of my background as a um, camera operator type, editor, musician, seeing these larger things. The first thing we did on a day, I had an idea of where we were going, and so I was conceiving of a couple of moments that might enhance that. And so
Okay.
I thought one of them was a good enough idea that I was going to pitch it to see if it was something they wanted to do. Come to find out, we're actually going this direction in the scene, and this direction I was speculating on wasn't really the direction. But because I had submitted it, they're like, "Well, we'll send it to Bryce and see." And the next day, this massive scene that's going on, Jude
Yeah.
Law's there, other things are happening, lots of things are happening. Bryce Dallas Howard came up to me, nubbly faced, no nose pirate, and she thanked me for the suggestion. She's like, "I think we're going to be doing this, but we can shoot that." So she basically offered to blow a take just to accommodate the idea that I had, knowing that
Wow.
that would be like a kindness or
Yeah.
an appreciative gesture, which I appreciated. But also I was like, no, 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 no. If we're
Yeah.
going this direction, like let's go the direction we need to go. I
Yeah.
don't need to spend a moment on that. Um,
Yeah.
but that kind of generosity was apparent
Absolutely. That
in
goes a
her
long
working
way.
ethic. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
lovely to see that.
Yeah. I'm really,
So
really
they've all been.
excited for the episode with the Daniels as well, because after seeing everything
Yeah.
everywhere all at once, I'm excited for that one especially.
So am I. I can't say too much because I didn't have a lot. If I say anything right now, we know which episodes I may be in or not in as to who I
Mm.
worked with or didn't work with.
Yeah, I guess
And
so.
since I'm waffling, we also probably have some indication of my involvement or not involvement with the Daniels.
Mm.
I'm excited to see what they did.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet Dave Filoni? Because I know when we spoke at Celebration, you didn't meet him doing The Mandalorian. Have you bumped into him yet?
I I was I've been dying to meet that guy.
Yeah.
And I did almost literally bump into him at the premiere for Skeleton Crew that they had in the Disneyland park in California.
Yeah.
Um, Everyone was kind of coming off of the red carpet photo interview opportunities, and they're getting ready to take everyone back over to where the theater was located, which is on the
Okay.
separate side of the park. So that was my opportunity to kind of say hi to everyone and
Yeah.
kind of reconnect. And I said hi to John, and then suddenly there's Dave Filoni, and I was like, I was just a big nerd, big fan.
Yeah.
Like, hi Dave, I play Vane. I'm playing Vane the pirate, and I just kind of geeked out a little bit.
Don't blame me.
Uh,
Don't
but
blame
he
me.
was kind and
Yeah.
as generous as he could because obviously we're still like trying to get over to the park.
Mm.
But as it happened, we were some of the last people getting into these transportation vans that were driving people around the park to the other side, and there were 3 seats left in the van, and they were right by John, by John and Dave and them, and they're like, "All right, guys, come on." So we basically sat there for 10 or 15 minutes in the van, sitting like shoulder to shoulder with Dave Filoni, and I I know they're
Wow.
tired. I know they're thinking 1,000 different thoughts, and the last thing they want is to have an excited fan alien actor going and like poking at them. So I did
Yeah.
my level best to just kind of sit and enjoy the ride
Chill
and
out. Yeah.
chilled out and just
That's fair.
soaked up the proximity. Not a
There
big
you go.
opportunity to get into it with him,
Yeah. Time and
but
place.
lovely. Would
Yeah.
love to work with him. Would
Cool
love to be
nonetheless.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah. in episode 2, we see you
Yeah.
faced off against SM33, who like sends you flying backwards.
Hmm.
How was the droid brought to life? Was it like difficult to act opposite that? And did you do that stunt where you went like wee, all the
It's
way over?
exactly
Was
that's
that you?
exactly the sound I made. I said,
Yeah.
"Wee." I was flying through the air. Uh, so on that, yes, I did do that stunt. They asked me early on if I was comfortable doing certain things, not knowing what those certain things were yet. And I said, yes, I am, to a point. I'm not a trained stunt man, but I enjoy physical acting. And if all of the security measures that I know are in place, I would be happy to do that. So they brought me down. We did a little practicing, and they were being very kind to a potentially delicate actor type. And I was like, no, no, all right, let's go,
Yeah.
throw me.
Let's do it.
So I think my enthusiasm and certain amount of abilities to take a fall, because creature suit stuff is kind of almost in the realm of stunt work, because oftentimes you're asked to do fight scenes or falls
Yeah.
or whatever the thing is, a physical component,
Hmm.
not in the realm of a trained stunt
Yeah.
man's work, but a physical
Similar.
component. So it kind of butts up against it sometimes.
Yeah.
And this was one of those cases where I was willing, they were willing, so we did that. So the fall, I've still framed through it a couple times just to see what kind of a face I was making, and it's a pretty funny like as he's flying backwards. Um, so yeah, that was fun, and I probably wouldn't want to do it a lot more because
Yeah, that must have stinged like a little bit.
well, my enthusiasm it stays here, but my age keeps like I'm recognizing like it doesn't feel as good as it used to fall on the ground. Um,
Oh.
so depending on the thing, I would still do it. It's kind of like in the Harrison Ford vein of things. Like he'll do as much as he can, but at some point
Yeah.
you do want to hand it over to the professionals so you don't damage
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, that's
Um,
important.
and SM himself, he was a combination of, as you've probably seen now in some of the behind the scenes work, there was a front loaded puppet armature that a guy would strap into, and he
Okay.
could basically puppeteer what looks from the front pretty much like the robot, and also where you
Wow.
see he's a little bit like floppy because he's being manipulated from behind by um I just blanked on the name of the effects house that was running that. Anyway, a part
Okay.
puppet, part CG reference by a
Hmm.
very tall basketball player. I believe his name is Zach. So there was a combination of that. For most of the action, there was a reference shot with the puppet, and then Zach would come out to do more of the actual
Yeah.
connection,
So it wasn't
fight
like
reference.
it wasn't like one of those like scenes where you might sort of react to nothing or like a green screen or anything like that. It was actually
No,
there, and you
fortunately,
could, whoosh.
yeah,
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 that's fun.
easy to play against.
Yeah, and then after that, you end up like running after the kids, and that costume it looks pretty heavy.
Yeah, you notice I wasn't sprinting at a pace. I was kind of like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah. There was a lot of weight to the suit, to the
yeah,
costume, which is good because if you're chasing kids and you don't have that, you might catch them a little quicker. So this slowed us down just a bit. And as we mentioned before, though, because I did have these giant boots and this giant coat, when SM was on the ground, and then Brutus says, "Go put him in the brig." We shot a little extra of kind of the approach to the kids to take them to the brig, where
yeah.
I took full advantage of SM laying on the ground in the big boot. I kind of gave him a little knock with the shoe just to, haha, got you
Okay,
back, sucker.
yeah.
Um,
We'll have to have a
yeah,
look for that.
yeah. If they show any
So
extended cuts later on,
extended
actually in the
cut.
scene, if you do step frame through it, you can see the toe. They cut from Wim on the kind of a low shot of him saying, "Break? What's a break?" The very last maybe 5 frames of the scene before they cut is like my foot coming into the frame, and then they cut
There
out
you
of it.
are.
Yeah,
Wow. So that's like that's the last thing we see of Vane so far.
that's
Is that
right.
like 5 him? So for
My
the
toes.
thumbnail for the video, I'll just put like that photo, like
Do you
interview
want a
with
better
Vane,
one?
and then
It's one I chose for Instagram. When he's coming into that scene from having just been punched out of the fight scene,
yeah,
when we're all coming out and we're behind Brutus and there's
yeah,
Gunter and then there's Vane. I'm making a lot of faces.
okay.
Choose your favorite one, but there
I
are a
have to
couple
zoom
of
right in.
yeah, yeah. It made me laugh when I watched it at
Yeah.
some of the strange things I was doing with Vane's face.
You already mentioned a bit about the premiere. Had you stayed in touch with many of the cast members, and were you kind of like incognito there too, like you were with Celebration?
A little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tricky when you are an alien, and that's how you see everyone when you're all brought out to set together. It's like we're not
Yeah.
all in the same makeup trailer. We're not all hanging out together before we go in. It's like you have
Yeah.
your time because it's such a machine. No, you have your time to show up, you have your time to go in the makeup trailer, then you go to your room and then you stay there and then you're brought out to set.
Yeah.
So fortunately I had Jaleel was in the same makeup trailer. So we at least got to see each other before and then during the process and then would say goodbye at the end of the day as we were coming out of makeup.
Yeah.
So at the premiere I came up to Jaleel and he was like, eh, and I was like, because we recognized each other.
Yeah.
Um, one of the pirates named Cisa Gray. She's really cool. We've kind of chit chatted over time through the Instagrams.
Yeah.
Um, but as it happens, it's like summer vacation when you make all the promises in the world and then you go back to your normal life and then somehow
Yeah.
you're like, I haven't talked to so and so in a while.
Mm.
Same thing. Same thing.
But it's
It's
like
kind
a
of tough.
reunion then. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that Ryan, young actress Ryan Byrne,
Fair. Yeah.
when we were at the premiere, I kind of walked up and I was like, "Hey Ryan, how you doing?" I mean, we're kind of giving each other the eye, and she's like, "No nose." So she remembered because
She
there was a
would.
running gag with her of the all classic like got your nose because he
Oh,
had no nose. I was low hanging fruit, and she took full advantage of that. So
took
that was
advantage
nice.
of Vane. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's fun though.
as
Yeah.
everyone seems to do because he sets himself up for it. To be, between you and me, it's a problem of his own making.
Hmm.
If we were to psychoanalyze Vane, we do see
Yeah.
like he's not making the best choices in his life.
He isn't. He isn't.
But
Yeah.
he's got time. He's got time. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. See if he redeems himself. I'd like to move on to talk a bit about Red One, which is in
Oh
cinemas
yeah, yeah.
now, and in which he starred opposite Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Chris Evans, right?
Well, that's a lovely way to say it. I would say I was graciously included
That's another way of putting
briefly
it.
in between the
You
two
were there.
famous folk. I was there indeed. Yeah.
You were there.
That scene was incredible. That the whole Krampus party scene was
Yeah.
phenomenal. And Joel Harlow is the makeup artist who ran the shop, who they designed and built all of those creatures, including the beautiful vulture bird judge character that I got to play. It was explaining the rules of the game of Krampus Schlapp to the humans who were brought in to play. So yeah, I had a few days hanging out with Christopher from Game of Thrones, who played Krampus, and then a couple of days with Dwayne, who was
Fun.
very kind and generous, and
Yeah.
he liked to come and talk and say hi and check out all of the madness that was going on in that scene.
And he had a nose that time around.
Such a great nose, yeah,
Big nose that time. Yeah.
proper
He went
beak.
from like nothing to like biggest one ever.
Huh?
So
Yeah, I've got
yeah.
range, Red. I've got
You've got
range.
range. That's what you've got. Do you have any social media you'd like to let everyone know about?
Sure, sure, sure. I pop into Instagram time to time, post
Yeah.
things on my channel, which is my name, just Marti Matulis, and then a fledgling YouTube channel where I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I want to do with that. But there are a few videos up on also Marti Matulis
Yeah.
on YouTube. Yeah,
Awesome. We'll have to check everything out and I'll put everything
lovely.
in the description. Any upcoming projects or anything you want to mention? Any conventions?
Conventions, nothing booked yet, but I am expecting that
I'm sure there will be.
because of the
Yeah.
success of the show, there should be some stuff coming up, and that those will all be posted on Instagram as I find out about them.
Yeah.
And then work, the industry's crazy right now. Red the it doesn't know what it's doing with itself, and jobs have been pretty far and few between accordingly.
Mm.
But yeah, always hopeful to do more with the Star Wars world or
Yeah.
anything else. So
Oh,
I will
totally.
also indicate as I'm able when I'm able. But currently, I'm enjoying the winter, hanging out with my puppy
Yeah.
dog and raking
Enjoy
leaves. I'm
Christmas.
doing just the leaf
Raking
raking
leaves.
aspect.
There we
Yeah.
go. Do you wanna do more like creature work? Like, do you prefer that? Because I know you've done some work like out of makeup as well.
Mhm.
Is that something you want to pursue more? Or
I am definitely trained as an actor and have brought that training to anything I'm doing inside of makeup. So it's always been kind of a weird line of like, well, is he an actor? Is he a creature guy? Or
Yeah.
so also as I'm aging, I think that doing stuff out of makeup is a lot more appealing now. Getting back to more of my roots, getting back to what I've trained to do. I recently did a workshop with Rada on Shakespeare.
Okay.
They brought a workshop to New York, and I thought, oh, it's been so long, I want to go do that again. And it kind of rekindled a fire of the love of Shakespeare that I would like to explore again. Getting back on stage would be an absolute treat. So I'm focusing more on character work and getting back on stage.
Yeah, you've got a range. You've got range.
Range. I'm not just a nose after all.
Not just a nose. Range. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure, and happy holidays, and hopefully see you soon. And looking forward to see what happens in the rest of Skeleton Crew, whether Vane will keep being so evil, or team up with the kids, or, I don't know, grow a nose, whatever Vane gets up to.
I'm curious as well. It's a fun watch, and I'm glad you're enjoying the show, and let's see this fun continue. Season 2, let's go for a season 2.
Season 2. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
All right, Red. Take care.
Thanks.